Bom dia, como vai? Tudo bem? Meu nome é Welicki. Eu trabalho no time Power Apps Microsoft de Redmond e agora vou trocar para inglês. So, good morning everyone. That was almost all my Portuguese, but I wanted to say hi in Portuguese. My name is Welicki, and I'm the Chief Product Officer for Power Apps. And today, I'm excited to talk about how are we going to accelerate digital transformation by combining low-code and generative AI. And also, I want to give the message that the future is now. All the things that I'm going to show you today, you can do right now. We are going to start with the mission of Microsoft, which is empower every organization and person in the planet to achieve more. And according to IDC, the planet will need 750 million applications in the next few years. And there will be a shortage of 4 million developers to create those apps. One way to bridge that shortage is teaching everyone how to code. And that's great. We are doing that, and we need to continue doing that, but we are not going to bridge the gap fast enough. So I want to propose another way of doing this, and it's empowering and reaching everyone with low code. And when I say everyone, I talk really about everyone, from business users that have a problem and can solve the problem with low-code tools, to professional developers that can use the low-code tools to augment and be more productive with what they do. Microsoft low-code offering is the Power Platform. And for the ones who are not familiar with it, it has 5 flagship products. Each one democratizes a full domain, full space of work. The first, Power BI, analytics and data visualization. This one. Next, Power Apps for web, desktop, and mobile application development. Power Automate for workflow, RPA, and automation. Power Pages for secure, external data-driven websites, and Copilot Studio to build and extend your own copilots. In addition to all those products, we have something that I like to call it like the secret sauce, because no application lives in isolation. All apps need to connect to something. And the Power Platform comes with more than 1,100 connectors out of the box that you can use to connect to virtually anything. So first, the usual suspects, all the Microsoft technologies like Azure, Office, you name it. But also, all the leading products in the market like Salesforce, SAP, AWS. If it exists, most likely we have a connector and you can use it to connect with it. And if what you want to connect with, we don't have a connector for, you can easily create your own. Now, 2 questions that I get a lot when we do low-code presentations with executives around the world. And I'm going to ask them right now, and I'm going to answer them as well, the same way that I do when we have those discussions. The first one is low-code a thing? That a thing? And the first thing to say that yes, it is a thing, and according to Gartner, we are in the midpoint of the low-code revolution. You see, in 2020, less than 25% of the apps that were built were using low-code technologies. By 2026, more than 75% of the new apps will use low-code tools. And I believe that estimation is going to be actually higher with the advent of generative AI tools. And one thing that I hope is that at the end of this session, once you leave this room, you will believe the same too, after you see what we are doing with the copilots. The second question is, does Microsoft believe in low-code? Is Power Platform here to stay, and it's a thing that is going to stick? And the answer is a resounding yes. In fact, Dynamics 365, that is a multi-billion-dollar business, and it's one of the line items in our revenue report, is built on Power Platform. It's in fact a Power Platform application. So we use it for one of our business critical products, so it's strategic to the company. In addition to that, internally at Microsoft, we have thousands of applications and flows that we use to automate different business processes. So the answer is this here to stay? Yes. It is strategic for our business and key for our operation. And the reason for that is because Power Platform brings unparalleled time to value. According with Forrester, we can get up to 74% reduction in development time. So it's really good for our customers, and it's really good for us as well. We are one of the biggest customers of this product ourselves. So now that we know what the Power Platform is, it's time to pivot to AI and talk about copilots. That is the fun part. So it is obvious to say right now that in this new era of big AI, the way in which we work will be transformed. And the manifestation of that transformation in our products lineup are the copilots. And what are the copilots? It's AI as a collaborator. Think of a copilot as a helper that is always there that can help you to be more productive. Basically, someone that can take care of like the tasks that are redundant, that have low value, so you can exercise your creativity and productivity to its fullest extent. One important thing to say about the copilot is that the name copilot is very deliberate. So we call it copilot and not autopilot for a reason. There's always a human in the loop. There's always a human making decisions, and the copilot is there to augment what that human can do. So you are always in control when you're using our copilots. We believe that with these copilots, with this set of technologies, we will change, the industry will change the way in which we work, and we will go from people working side by side, which is how we traditionally always work, to people working side by side with AI, where the copilot is going to be a member of every team, and the copilot will help every individual in the team or the full team to do more, to be more productive. Again, going back to our mission of empowering every person and organization to achieve more. Very well aligned. Now, in the Power Platform, we have copilots in all our products. And in the next few minutes, that's what I want to show you. I want to talk a little bit about the copilots that we have everywhere and show you a few of them so we can see them practically. So this is a good moment to put a pause and talk about the next of our session together, our time together. We look at the copilots, and now that we know what low-code is, and when we know what the copilots are, we will put all of these together in a business case and see how all of these things come together. And we will end with some statistics. So, as I was saying, we have copilots in all our products. So let's go one by one. Let's start with Power Apps. That is the one that is near and dear to my heart because it's the one that I work on. And in Power Apps, the copilot manifests in two main ways. We have what we call the Maker Copilot, which is a copilot that will help anyone that is building an application to be more effective to create that application. You can tell the copilot what you want, expressing it with natural language, or give it an Excel file, and it will create a full working application for you. And then you can continue iterating. Or we have what we call the App Copilot. That is a copilot that goes in the application that you create so the users of your app can benefit from a copilot. Imagine that you build an app where the users can go and ask questions about the data, get assistance to complete forms, assistance to create text, etc. So not only we empower people building the apps, but also users using the app. So let's take a quick look at one example. In this case, we are in the Power App Studio. The first thing to notice here at the top, see, you can tell the copilot what you want to do. In this case, I'm going to ask an app to track lost and found in a construction site. And once I ask the copilot that, the first thing to notice is that the copilot knows that I'm asking to track something. So what do I need to track? I need a table. So what it will do first is create a table so I can store the data that is going to be tracked. And this table is going to be created in Dataverse. That is the data solution for Power Platform. It's a cloud scale database with cloud guarantees and security. So not only it will create a schema with the right data types, but also it will populate it with sample data. That is one key pain point to create applications. It takes hours or days to get a good data set, but with the copilot, it's just a matter of seconds. In this case, for example, for lost and found, it realized that it's a choice column, so it gave me like two options, lost or found. And I'm going to ask the copilot now to add an estimated value column of the item that was lost. Again, just by asking the copilot to do that, it will go ahead, understand what I'm asking, create that column, and populate it with sample data. And here, there's something very interesting. One thing that we try to do with the copilot is every time that you ask the copilot to do something, we want the outcome to reflect our best practices. So you see, this column estimated value is of type currency, which means that this application can be internationalized and work in multiple markets, as is. I just asked for something, and I got the best outcome. I'm going to ask the Copilot now to add 10 more rows, and again, it will give me a better data set so I can start building my application. All these things, as I was saying, remember when we were saying that I'm in control, it's not an autopilot, the Copilot augments what a person can do. Creating a table, adding rows, are all things that don't have much value. So I'm, as the creator, as the maker, I'm the creative force behind this. What the Copilot is doing is making me significantly more effective and more productive at solving this problem. But still, I'm in control, I'm co-creating with the Copilot, that is increasing my productivity and the output of my work. So at this point, I like the table, I like the data, so I'll ask the Copilot to create the app. Once I ask to create the app, it's going to go ahead, provision the tables, do everything that it needs to do, so I get what we call a starter app. That is an application that is good enough for you to start working with the data. And the application, not surprisingly, is a modern master details application, where basically this application can work in a cell phone, in a tablet. It can adjust to multiple form factors. So again, all starting from a prompt. And again, these are all things that I can easily do. But as you can see, the Copilot makes them significantly easier for me. So we went from days or hours that this would take to just a few seconds. All of this that you are seeing right now is publicly available. Parts of this are generally available, which means that it's a supported product in the places where Copilot is enabled, so you can try it today. So I'm going to move on to the next in interest of time. We talk about Power Apps. I show you how easy you can build an app. We didn't get to the end user Copilot, but if you guys are interested, you can reach out to me and I can share more information about that offline. Because the next one that I want to show is Power Automate. One of the things that we talk a lot is about hyper-automation and the ability to automate every single process in a company so you can be more efficient and be more predictive, and all the benefits that come with that. And automating things can be tedious, but not with Copilot. With the Power Apps Copilot in Power Automate, you can just describe what you want, and the Copilot will do it for you. So let's take a look. You see, in this case, I can ask the Copilot to create a flow to track invoices. As soon as I ask it, it will give me a suggested flow with a bunch of connectors to get the data and even to set up an approval. Once I got everything set, I can create the Copilot, and it will create a full flow for me. And if there's anything that I don't understand, for example, what does this Get Manager do? I can ask the Copilot, and it can also explain. Remember that we said that it's a collaborator that is always there to help me. And it can help me by doing things or by explaining what things do or how to do things. And very quickly, in a matter of minutes, we can create a flow. This also is publicly available. You can use it today to automate your own flows. Then we have Power Pages. That is the product that we have for creating external websites. With Power Pages, you can create branded websites very easily in a matter of minutes. You just tell the Copilot what you want. It will create the styles. It will create forms. It will create content. All of that using a conversational experience. So again, we can increase productivity and do things that takes days in minutes. Again, very important. We increase productivity, but there's always a human in control. What these tools do, what the Copilot is doing, is giving me better tools to get my job done and do it faster. And if we talk about Copilots, we must talk about Copilot Studio. With Copilot Studio, you can build your own Copilots, but also you can extend Copilots. And one interesting thing that I like to invite everyone to try, if you go to the Copilot Studio page, there's a try button that in a matter of less than a minute, you can have a Copilot working very easily. Now, one of the things that I really like about Copilot Studio, which is available to use today as well, right now, is the fact that Copilot Studio helps you create copilots that are generative AI and at the forefront of innovation, but also Copilot Studio uses AI to create those copilots itself. So you see, in the past, if you wanted to train a bot or a copilot in a certain topic, you have to create all these rules manually, and it would take days, and it's very complex. But with Copilot Studio and the feature that we call generative answers, you can point Copilot Studio to a website, to a document, to a SharePoint folder, you name it, and that's all you need to do to train the Copilot in that corpus of data. In just a minute, it can be answering questions about any content that you can provide, and that's what we call generative answers. And in that place, that when you go to the homepage of Copilot Studio and you go try it. Basically, what you can do is you can put any URL and create a Copilot in less than a minute to answer questions about that URL. The other one is generative actions, where the Copilot can run actions on behalf of the user. And there, what you can use is that those 1,100 connectors that we talked about a few minutes ago are all available to be used as actions, or the ones that you create on your own. So basically, very easily, you can train the Copilot on doing things on your behalf, and if it needs more information because the API requires so, it will ask you questions in a conversational way. Last but not least, very important, a question that I get all the time. It's important that we have all these Copilots, that we have AI, that you can empower your makers, your end users, your admin, but most important is that you can do it in a safe way. You see, we invest a lot in secure AI, responsible AI, and we have a set of guarantees that we give everyone. I get these questions all the time. I'm going to go through them. Like your data, the first question that I get is my data safe? What happens with my data? So when you use our Copilots, your data is your data and stays with you. It doesn't move anywhere. It doesn't go out of the boundaries of your organizations. It stays with you. It's not used to train any model that can be used by any of your competitors. Every security that you put on your data, B-roll-based access control, data loss prevention policies, any policies that you put in place to protect the data, the Copilot will honor. And of course, you have the Copilot copyright commitment from Microsoft. So with that, now that we know low code and we know Copilots, let's take a look. Let's bring it all together in a concrete example. And we'll use a fictional company that will go from shadow, from the dark side, to the light side. And this is Contoso, a young, fast-growing company, which at the beginning, somebody very passionate in finance created an Excel file to liquidate seller commissions. In fact, this is based on an example from my previous life. I've been through this. So basically, that file at the beginning was awesome because they could get up and running very quickly. The problem is, over time, that file that was great at the beginning became a liability. It would get locked. It's not connected to their seller's database. It's not connected to their accounting systems. Basically, what they are doing is they're running a business-critical process from a PC under the desk of someone, which is kind of like terrible place to be. So what we'll do is we'll use the Power Platform, Azure, and the Copilots to transform this very bad situation, this shadow IT situation, into a modern cloud-managed governed application. And how are we going to do it? We use all the things that we saw in the past 20 minutes. So let's see. We have like the seller commissions. I cannot point with a pointer, apparently. I have very bad aim. But we have the seller commissions file. That is the infamous file that we talked about. An accounting system. And a seller's database. Everything disconnected. So what can we do first? We'll use the Power Apps Copilot and create an application and a database. That can be done in a few minutes. So now we have an application and a database, no more Excel file. What are we going to do next? The app will have a Copilot itself. So people will be able to ask questions about the data in the sellers, when were certain commissions paid or things like that. And that data will be backed by Copilot Studio, grounded on the data. So now we have an app that is modern on a relational cloud data store with a Copilot that can be extended. Check. Next, we'll connect to the seller's database. As I mentioned, we have connectors. We can connect to everything. Our cloud database can connect to SQL Azure very easily. So now this is integrated. The next thing, the accounting system is sitting in Azure. It's a .NET application in an Azure website. So in this case, we will use Visual Studio to create a connector. And that connector we will also create with the Copilot. So in a matter of minutes, now every time that a commission is added or changed in the application, now we can register that back to that application that they have, that is a custom-built app. Now that we have the data and we have everything, it's a good time to add data visualizations. And what better tool for that than Power BI? So we can add Power BI reports. And once we do that, we are liquidating commissions. It would be awesome to get a report every month, right? It would be really, really, really great. So we can create a prompt to ask to create a report every month, and with the Copilot, give it to Power Automate, and Power Automate will know how to go get that data, create that report, and use M365 to send an email. Now that you have this full application working, we need to make sure that it is secure. And we are going to use like a component from Power Platform that is called Managed Environment to make sure that the admins can lock this down, add extra guardrails, policies, etc. So these can be fully secured. And of course, now that we have a full app that we created with the Copilot and that we are going to use it for a business critical process, we are going to add observability with Azure Monitor so we can know what's going on. And we are going to roll it out to the organization with Intune so we can have a controlled way of pushing to the org. So check that out. In the last 2 minutes, I was describing the journey from an Excel file under someone's desk to run a business critical process to a fully governed managed application where we can even control the rollout or very fine-grained security settings, all thanks to Power Platform and the copilots. And a solution like this can be built in hours. So you might ask, this is great, but is it real? And it is. Everything that I talked about and showed today is available for you to try, and some of these things are, as I said, generally available, which means fully supported by Microsoft. In addition, and beyond me saying that, there are 230,000 organizations that have used Copilot in Power Platform. Think of this, 230,000 organizations around the world that have used already Power Platform Copilot, sorry. And what we are seeing in those organizations is what I call like a positive trifecta of users that are more successful, happier, and more productive. Here are just 3 stats. We have way more, but here are 3 that I wanted to share with you to put it all together. So basically, 64% of makers that try to create an application to connect to a database are more likely to succeed if they use Copilot. 64% more. When we track satisfaction, how happy customers are using the products, customers that use Copilot versus customers who don't, the difference is more than 65%. So customers using the Copilot are much happier, have more chances of success, and of course, in many scenarios, they have way higher productivity. For example, creating an app from an Excel file is more than 80% faster, and same goes to creating a flow. So we have lots of organizations using them with very encouraging signals. So I would like to invite every one of you to try this out, and because the most important thing, again, going back to our mission, is empowering every organization and every person in the planet to achieve more. So for me, a good continuation of this is I would be delighted to hear the things that you build with the Copilot in your own organizations. So with that, thank you very much, muito obrigado, and I hope to hear back from you.